Yesterday we were discussing the special feature of Satipatthana as the meaning of Patthana to be given as proceeding with high quality mindfulness, sati, maximum quality or unique type of sati. And we have also discussed the special features, namely Paṇḍitā Sayadaw, proceeding. Mindfulness proceeding by entering into the object of observation. When doing so, we need to know the speed at which we enter into this object of observation. Here we mean fastest speed, as fast as we can, as given by the special feature Paṇḍitā, proceeding by rushing one's noting mind or plunging one's noting mind into the immediately arising object. However, we also discussed that if we hesitate in noting the obvious immediately arising object, not being awake, not being alert, not being diligent, in every aspect, if we slack our energy, our energy is slack, then we won't be able to grasp the object as they arise. That will be the cause for kilesas, the entry of kilesas into your stream of consciousness, giving rise to kilesa bhumi, your object of observation, your objective field will become kilesa land, or the soil in which defilements grow, kilesa bhumi. If we cannot make use of our land systematically, usefully, or if we don't make use of it at all, then only useless plants or weeds will grow without any need for nurturing them. They will only take over. Then other useful plants will not have a place or chance to grow. So too with our life. If we do not mold our life with the practice of Satipatthana, or even if we do practice, we don't do it respectfully, carefully, appreciating, cherishing the practice, then kilesa weeds are bound to grow in our objective field. Without limit, all sorts of kilesas are bound to grow. They are weeds which will breed insects and poisonous animals, so that the place will become dangerous. So it is necessary to make good use of this land. In order to do so, we have to clear the land of weeds or weeding and plant valuable ones. That is the pure, blameless, affable Dhamma in terms of Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. By being mindful and fully aware, cultivating knowledge, beginning with the discernment of mind and body, then this objective field will become your own. It will belong to you. It will be the land of knowledge or wisdom. or the land, the soil in which wisdom grows. Panya Bhumi. In short, by being mindful and fully aware of the immediately arising object, you let the kilesa Panya Bhumi arise. If not, this objective field will become kilesa Bhumi. Or in short, if you are mindful, there will be Panya Bhumi, and if not, your objective field will become kilesa Bhumi. So it is necessary to make good use of your life. The yogi who can rush his or her noting mind into the immediately arising object to grasp these objects will win over these ignoble, unskillful states. Papake akusale dhamme. Ignoble, unskillful states or dhammas. Which kind of person will that be? It is given by the expression Satiya Parikananto. Whoever can grasp or occupy these objects with mindfulness, with sustained mindfulness rushing into the object of observation, such a person is bound to win victory over kilesas. Conversely, if one is not mindful with this kind of quality, that is grasping, not able to grasp the objects as they arise, then one will lose to kilesas. That has been given in the text. So Sayadaw is just explaining both from the theoretical and practical aspects. Not knowing the truth as truth, one becomes deluded, bewildered, confused, and not clear-cut. One should not be confused with one's life. One should not be bewildered about one's life. Life should not be confusing. So it is important to be clear-cut, to be certain, and not to be bewildered, not to be confused. This can be overcome. Confusion can only be overcome with knowledge. And the knowledge of not outside external objects, but you need to cultivate knowledge about internal objects in your body, such as the mind and body arising at the moment of seeing, Namarupa arising at the moment of hearing, and so on. All these things are to be noted and known. It is very important to know them at the moment of their arising. If one is not able to do that, objects arise and pass away very fast, and one will not be able to catch up with them as they arise. So it is necessary to just hit at the moment of arising, as is given and as is said, strike while the iron is hot. So you must note it as it arises, as they arise. Like the analogy of the lightning which you watch at night in order to know the qualities in terms of natural characteristics, its function and manifestation, you should watch at the moment of lightning, not before or afterwards, because they are fleeting moments. One must rush with full force, then only one will be able to catch up with them. If one does not try to catch up with them, then one will be ignorant. Avijja. Not knowing mind and body, that this is the mind, this is the body, this is the causal mode, this is the cause, this is the effect, and their impermanent nature. So not knowing all these things means avijja, ignorance or unknowing. Not only not knowing the truth, but knowing in a reverse way. What actually happens, what actually exists are this mind and body, nama rupa, what one thinks in terms of person, being, individual, man, woman, in respect of this mind-body aggregate. And what actually happens is the causal mode, but one is obsessed with the view of causelessness all along the lifetimes, or even one hold the view of cause and condition. One will hold that things are created. So all sorts of views can arise. Distorted view, distorted consciousness. So, if one does not understand the arising and passing away, then one will hold the view of permanence. If one does not comprehend the unsatisfactory nature of things, one will hold the view of pleasure, that things are pleasurable. Things you see, hear, taste, touch and so on are pleasurable. And everything is controllable, manageable. They arise at your will. You can control them. In this way, all along your lifetimes, you have been obsessed with such views, distorted views, and not easy to rid your mind of these views. So the only way to overcome such views is with the application of mindfulness, so as to grasp, applying these qualities as mentioned, in order to cultivate knowledge, then gradually you will get over these distorted views. As I said, unknowing, one clings. That means one will cling to pleasurable objects. As much as one get attached to agreeable objects, one will be dissatisfied with disagreeable objects. And all sorts of kilesas are bound to arise. And just the classical calculation, at the rate of 1 attachment per second, you can calculate in 5 minutes, there are 300 attachments, moments of clinging. In 1 hour, there will be 3,600 moments of clinging. And there are 24 hours a day. You just calculate. If it goes on like this from 1 to 2 days, 1 to 2 months and years, just imagine how you accumulate all these kilesas, lumps and lumps of kilesas. As much as you have done in the past, you'll be doing in the present, you may be doing in the present, and you may most probably do also in the future time, if one is not mindful. If one is not able to grasp these objects with the practice of mindfulness, then one is bound to let impurities arise in one's stream of consciousness, beginning with avijja, 2 kinds of avijja, which become, in this way, which are ignoble, debased, low states. Unknowing, ignorance is ignoble. And misperception, knowing wrongly, also is ignoble, low. Lobha also, greed is debased form. So is with the dissatisfaction, simmering in the mind, multiplying in the mind, so are other impurities, pride, conceit, envy, avarice, and the fact that one becomes reactive, not being patient, they are also low. Hence, the expression papaka. If such low states happen in the mind, then the mind will be low. And not ending with obsession, if this is translated into physical behavior, then such behaviors, physical behaviors also will become low. Or if they are translated into verbal actions, such speech will become low. In this way, one's life will become ignoble. One is said to be degraded. So that these behaviors will become blameworthy, impure, gross, and despicable. Hence, the expression papake akusale dhamme. So when these things, adhammas, non-dhammas, arise, they are the opposite of dhammas. Dhamma uplifts the human status, whereas adhamma, non-dhamma, will degrade, lower the human status. Therefore, if yogi is able to grasp these objects by rushing into the objects as they arise with mindfulness, then they are bound to win victory over these unwholesome, low states, akusale dhammas. So, all these things, unskillful states, impure states, will arise whenever conditions are favorable. Papake akusale dhamme, the ignoble, unskillful states, are very obvious in the minds of most beings on a full-time basis. Because they are not careful, they don't notice it. But if they are careful, they will notice it. Then they have full, full of these unskillful, lower, ignoble states. Papake akusale dhamme. They will always get the upper hand if you are not free from them. They will torment you, and indulging in them, you will be subject to ignorance, avijja. Then indulging in avijja, indulging in greed, hatred, you will do all sorts of wrong thought, word and deed, giving rise to unwholesome results. As we have said many times, the 100% of the suffering of beings have their root cause in kilesas. As for these papake akusale dhamme or dhammas, they will torment you, they will burn you, they will undermine you at the moment of their arising, and indulging in them, later they will be the cause of suffering. That is what the Buddha has said. So, unless one can overcome them with the practice, if we cultivate knowledge, if we are mindful and fully aware, in a little way, in a small way, we will be relieved in a small way. If we do much, we will be much relieved. If we practice fully, that is until we reach the final holiness, stage of sanctity, then of course we'll be fully, you'll win the victory fully. So, of course, at this stage, to practice at least to realize the first path, by which your life will become secure, will be assured, and you'll be worth practicing the Dhamma. practicing this meditation. And you have to aspire, you should aspire to reach that goal. If not, you'll be wasting time and you'll become Kilesa Bhumi, a land, Kilesa land, which are more dangerous than this dangerous insects, infective insects or infective bacteria, microorganisms. As for these bacteria and insects, they may bite you and cause disease, but only in this life or temporarily. As for these kilesas, they will bite you forever, so that you suffer forever. If they bite, you will suffer in terms of greed, hatred, all these impurities, mana, pride, envy, avarice. They will bite you all the time in this way, except the time when you are fast asleep. You are bound to be bitten by these kilesa insects and kilesa bacteria, which are manifold more dangerous, more dangerous than actual insects or bacteria. These states, Papake Akusale Dhamma, ignoble, unskillful states, are blamable, and blameworthy, despicable, fearful. So one needs to detest and fear them. One should nurture such qualities. The quality of Hiri Bala, Ottappa Bala. The power of healthy shame, the power of healthy fear. Not to commit unskillful states. That they are dangerous. Ordinary insects and bacteria are dangerous, but physically they are dangerous. But these internal enemies in the body, they are much more dangerous. Hence, these two wholesome mental states, the power of these two wholesome mental states, Hiri Bala, Ottappa Bala, are very crucial. If they are there in your body, these dangerous things in the body, you need to subdue them. Otherwise, indulging in them, you are bound to suffer, you are bound to endure suffering. Because you are not conscious of avoiding them, you are not fearful of them. Therefore, you have to nurture this quality to be conscious and to be fearful of these Papake Akusale Dhammas, and seek the method, the correct method, believing and accepting it, and a will to undertake this practice to overcome these unskillful states. Exerting energy, virya, at the risk of one's body and life, sustaining the mindfulness, so that concentration will deepen and gain this discriminating insight in stages, so as to replace all these despicable, dangerous states. Because these insects and bacteria are seen with your eyes. They may give trouble in this life, but they will not continue to another life. As for these internal enemies, they will continue all along your lifetimes. Therefore, it is necessary to be conscious of the danger, and to be fearful of them. And Buddha has given the method to subdue them. As one develops these two wholesome mental states, Hiri and Ottappa, healthy shame, healthy fear, then one will win victory over these. One will find a method, look for a method to overcome these kilesa jams, which are causing trouble all the time. When one finds the method, then as one has faith, acceptance, this is like the beneficial jams. If one does not accept, if one does not have faith, then they are like harmful jams. So by having faith and acceptance, one is said to have won victory over these harmful germs in the form of lack of faith and lack of acceptance. Then one will practice mindfulness in order to rush your mindfulness and grasp these objects to win victory over these papake, akusale, dhammi. Once one knows the method, that this is the beneficial practice, one believes in it. Prior to that, one does not believe in it. Some may not believe because some has not practiced. Some has not undertaken the practice, so some may not believe it by just listening. So if once one comes to believe and accept it, then this beneficial germs, acceptance, is said to have replaced these harmful germs, which is non-acceptance. So if one does not accept, then there will be no desire to undertake the practice. So kilesas will always gain the upper hand, which cause trouble, which harms one's life all the time. So once you have the will to do it, then at this time you are substituting this harmful germs for beneficial germs, because this having strong zeal is like the beneficial germs. Then you will exert energy, ardent energy, every second of the practice. If you are slack, then you will be accepting kilesas. If you exert energy, then you will not be accepting kilesas. You are said to be abandoning or overcoming kilesas by not accepting. In this way, the laxity, slackness, harmful germs are replaced by these beneficial energy germs. So with energy, the mindfulness will be sustained. Again, this lack of mindfulness is substituted by this sustained mindfulness. This mindfulness will lead to concentration. By concentrating your mind, you are overcoming, you are replacing these harmful germs in terms of restlessness and remorse, distraction, scattering of the mind, and so on. Now, as you develop concentration, you are bound to see things correctly, beginning with mind and body, the conditionality and the universal characteristics. So all these things are beneficial for you. It is like breeding or culturing, nurturing beneficial germs to replace harmful germs. So by having these germs, there will be less and less of these kilesa insects, kilesa germs. Once you are secure from these harmful germs, you will be free from them, and you will feel peaceful, which is a cause for happiness. In order to treat these dangerous diseases, especially diseases relating to bacterial diseases, it is known that the people, medical science, have to do research to culture these beneficial bacteria in order to counteract these dangerous diseases. And that takes time. You cannot just get in a day, overnight, in order to breed or culture these beneficial germs. So also, with the practice of the yogis, in order to subdue these kilesa diseases, which have been with us all along our lifetimes, we have to practice, as I said, to guarding your mind with vigilant mindfulness of every arising, every seeing, hearing, tasting, touching. By rushing one's naughty mind with alertness and diligence to enter into the object of attention, possessing the preliminary mental powers such as faith and will, to undertake faith about the qualities of the Satipatthana and the will to possess that. Then one will exert energy. If one exerts energy, one is bound to cultivate mindfulness, activate mindfulness. Then you are protecting or subduing these germs which can arise if you are not mindful. Then with the mindfulness being sustained, concentration is bound to deepen, and knowledge will arise. In this way, you will win over these harmful germs. But that takes time to cultivate these beneficial germs. So it takes time to cultivate, to nurture these beneficial qualities. So, understanding this, one should practice every second of the time, and not to miss even a moment. Otherwise, to start all over again is not easy. So, cherishing this practice, one should exert this heroic energy without any worry about suffering physical pain or even death. If one is afraid of physical pain, then one will not dare to practice. So one has got to practice at the risk of one's body and life. So if one is afraid of things like, is the water pure or sterile, hygienic? Will it upset my stomach? If you have that kind of obsession, then you will not be able to take up the practice. If you are afraid too much, because your mind is obsessed with it, so that you will not be able to take time and energy to undertake the practice. So the bacteria, the internal bacteria in the body is more dangerous. So one has got to prevent and subdue them with the practice. Practice at the risk of body and life, without any doubts about other minor things like water and so on. These self-indulgence, having regard to one's own body, is the subject of this discussion. Now, as for the Buddha, when he was a prince, he led a luxurious life, And when he renounced and lived in the forest for 6 years, he had no luxurious things at his disposal. Instead, he practiced austere disciplines to the point of near death. And on the day of enlightenment, he just had 8 handfuls of grass given by a passerby or devotee, you might say. And he sat on that. He sat on this 8 handful of grass given to him, with the determination, with the vow, that solemn vow, that he would not get up or change this posture until unless he was fully liberated from these kankas or kilesas, so that finally he was able to be free from kilesas with the realization of the omniscient knowledge, Sabbiyutta Jnana. Now these 8 handfuls of grass is nothing, as nothing compared to his luxurious life that he led when he was a prince. But if one tries, one strives, one is bound to gain the benefit, one is bound to gain the goal or target. If one tries, one is bound to succeed. Now we have come to these yogis. We have cushions, sitting cushions provided at the retreat, and also things you have brought, because you are not sure to be safe, to be on the safe side. When Sayadaw, in his time, when he was practicing, he used only a sitting cloth to sit on. Now, some of you are sitting on these cushions, sometimes not only one cushion, 2 cushions, and so on, one over the other. So, actually, one for each yogi should be sufficient, because there are only about 60, I think, cushions made here. And if one person, because of the increased number of yogis, if one yogi uses more than one cushion, then other people are bound to suffer. So at this point, the practice of the 3 trainings of Sila Samadhi Penya leads to unity by Dhamma blood. We become related, we become united in terms of Dhamma blood, Dhamma relatives. So as relatives, as fellow yogis, we have to assist one another. It has to be, equally distributed. There should be unity. There should be loving kindness, and then the equity or equal distribution, equality or equality, I should say. So this 3 trainings of Sila Samadhi Panya leads to these qualities: unity, loving kindness, and equality. So understanding this, we will be able to practice in this way, in this spirit. Sayadaw says he has been a meditation teacher for a long time, and when yogis come, he knows what to do for the yogis. He sees yogis as yogis, removing what is unnecessary and fulfilling the yogi's needs. That is his motive. Especially helping the yogis in the practice of the meditation to know the method, the basic method exactly, and to undertake the practice with daily interviews and talks, removing unnecessary things which are not required, and things which might disturb the yogis. So he looks yogis like the yogis in this way, not otherwise. And when he does these things, he is not doing them to cause you trouble, to trouble you, to inconvenience you. So there are only few things that he demands of you, or he expects of you. That is to subdue and get the upper hand of these internal kilesa, bacteria, germs, which are with you all the time, and to practice carefully, continuously, so as to subdue them, taking time to do that continuously. So that's what he expects of you. It is not for him, but for the benefit of the yogis, because they have come here all the way, leaving behind their dear and loved ones and their occupation, and so on. So that he's helping you, whatever you need, as much as he can, so as to be worth coming here with this metta karuna, removing what is not required. When they say removing what is not required, it is not to inconvenience you. It is only for your benefit. So understanding this, there's only one request. That is, first of all, purification. Well, of course, it is necessary to purify your own body and the surrounding. Cleaning, that means. And also purify the internal impurities in the body. As I said, with one practice of mindfulness, one can win over all kilesas or akusalas, defilements. With the practice of guarding the mind with vigilant mindfulness of every arising, rushing into the object as it arises, with full force, and mobilizing all these the mental powers, saddha, chanda, ardent energy, heroic energy, all the time, cherishing the practice, and every time, every day, by reporting, if he hears that you can practice well, your practice is progressing, and you are doing very respectfully, when he hears that, he is very happy, as much as all the teachers are happy, because it is worth their effort. So, to speak about this yogi language, with yogi language, the teachers love such yogis. So may we be able to practice Satipatthana with ardent energy, so that to become the beloved ones, beloved yogis of the teachers. That's all. The beloved ones, beloved yogis of the teachers. That's all. The beloved ones, beloved yogis of the teachers. That's all. The